Have you ever had to fight someone? How about doing it while standing on a quarter-inch blade of steel while also standing on ice? Bob Probert was not only a great hockey player, but also one of the best hockey fighters in the history of the game. As a player, Bob played 16 years in the NHL. During his career, he spent 9 years with the Detroit Red Wings and 7 years with the Chicago Blackhawks. According to NHL.com, he played 1,016 games, scoring 179 goals and 253 assists for a total of 432 points. After 5 years in the minors, Bob was brought up to play with the Detroit Red Wings, who had drafted him 46th overall in the 1983 draft. While playing on a team that already had established enforcers, Bob quickly became known as a fighter. In the 87-88 season, he accumulated a league-leading 398 penalty minutes, while also scoring 62 points to be tied for third on the team. This year, he was also selected to play in the NHL All-Star Game, the first and only time he would play in an All-Star Game during his career. Over the next several years, Bob averaged 40 points and 214 penalty minutes per season. Also during this time, Bob had several run-ins with the police, and in the 1994 season, Detroit decided not to continue his contract. At that time, the Chicago Blackhawks decided to acquire Bob Probert. However, due to the NHL lockout and Bob attending rehab, he sat out the 94-95 season. Although still a force on the ice, Bob's points and penalty minutes began to decline from that point on. And for the second time in his career, in the 97-98 season, Bob sat the entire season out with a torn rotator cuff. And by 2002, Bob felt that he was no longer able to compete at the level he wanted to, and he retired from the Chicago Blackhawks. After a very short stint doing radio announcements for Blackhawk games, Bob decided to retire from all NHL activities in the middle of the 2002-2003 season. While playing in the NHL, not only was Bob a scoring asset, his biggest contribution was being one of the best hockey fighters in the history of the game. Of the 1,016 games he played in, he is 5th overall with 3,300 penalty minutes and 2nd overall with 3.53 penalty minutes per game. In 9 years with Detroit, he holds a franchise record with 3,300 penalty minutes, averaging 4.3 penalty minutes per game. In 7 years with Chicago, he amassed 1,210 penalty minutes, averaging 2.6 penalty minutes per game, and is 7th in Blackhawks history. According to DropYourGloves.com, Bob had a total of 355 fights, winning 58% of them. His record stands at 161 wins, 52 losses, and 67 ties. Bob Probert died of a heart attack in 2010 at the age of 45. Known for his reckless lifestyle, both on and off the ice, many believe led to his early death. His family has since donated his brain for research, and according to an article in the New York Times, Boston University researchers have found degenerative brain disease. This disease is known to be linked to repetitive concussions and the brains of boxing. Bob Probert played a total of 17 years between the Detroit Red Wings and Chicago Blackhawks, amassing 3,300 penalty minutes for 5th overall in the history of the NHL. Bob Probert was not only a great hockey player, he was also one of the best hockey fighters in the history of the game.